This man is Rupert Murdoch's disgraced fake sheikh, Mazher Mahmood, who regularly posed as a fake sheikh and through his perjurious lies, unlawful information gathering and arguably illegal techniques frame people with false evidence, causing malicious prosecutions, including mine, which you can read about at circusofthemind.net. This man was, for a period of time, the fake sheikh's boss, namely the late Greg Miskiw. We'll come back to him in a moment. And the man on the left is the infamous phone hacker and information gatherer, Mr. Mulcaire, who was employed by Greg Miskiw to do extensive work on behalf of the fake sheikh, Mazher Mahmood, because Mahmood did not want to deal directly with Mulcaire. This is not some idle claim. This is something that Greg Miskiw kindly wrote me a witness statement for on the 5th of August 2021 before he passed away a short while later, where he clearly states he acted as a go-between between Mazher Mahmood and Mulcaire. Mahmood would tell him of stories he was working, people he was about to set up, and Greg would then get Glenn to, through the company he was working for at the time, hack people's phones and do other investigations on them, which were then passed back to Mahmood. On the 30th of July 2021, Mulcaire kindly also gave me a sworn witness statement about how he would pass information to Greg Miskiw, who then passed it to Mazher Mahmood. In my case, this happened during 1998. At multiple times during the year, there's receipts showing payments to LRI, Legal Resource and Intelligence Resources, which was set up by John Boyle, but for which Mulcaire did the work for the News of the World, and including the work that was passed to him by Greg Miskiw to get information for Mazher Mahmood. So thanks to this man, the late Greg Miskiw, who was for a while Mahmood's boss, and this man, Mulcaire, both of whom kindly gave me witness statements, well, that information and facts proved useful in my claim Alex Smith versus News Group newspapers. And along with statements from a whole bunch of other people, I was able to show the unlawful and arguably illegal conduct of the fake sheikh Mazher Mahmood being the extensive and indeed only reason why a malicious prosecution was ever pressed against me, and why my convictions are unsafe, as explained at circusofthemind.net. But it's more than that. Mahmood, I would argue, who did this on many other people, should be reinvestigated by the police, for much of what he did was unlawful and illegal, and he committed perjury by not disclosing to the police that he'd used these things, thus making it a malicious prosecution. Further, we now know that the police and CPS knew in 1994, after a collapsed trial, that he could not and should not ever be relied upon as witness of truth. Indeed, they wrote to each other stating this. Documents I have copies of, which basically prove beyond any reasonable doubt that the police and CPS turned a blind eye to Mahmood's illegal techniques and dishonesty for a couple of decades, 94, 2004, 2014, when the Talisa trial collapsed 20 years later. And at no point did they tell me or any other Mahmood victim of the collapsed cases and the proof of his dishonesty, which they should have done under SEPA disclosure rules of 1996. Had they done so, I would never have changed my plea from not guilty to guilty on the first day of my trial. I would never have gone to prison. Indeed, this would never have got to court in the first place. It's all explained at circusofthemind.net, and I handed all this stuff in, including the kind statements from Mulcaire and Greg Miskiw and many other people, to the Criminal Cases Review Commission on the 3rd of February 2026, again as explained at circusofthemind.net. But here's something else to consider. Mahmood was all parts of the supply chain. videos I got in disclosure of Alex Smith versus NGN, which Newsgroup newspaper settled with me in December 2024, and then in early 25 issued me a private letter of apology for the actions of their journalist during the formulation of the fabricated 1998 story that led to the malicious prosecution and my unsafe convictions. Well, I got charged with 2 counts of delivery of alleged counterfeit coins under the Forgery and Counterfeit Act 1981, despite the fact the Royal Mint have now confirmed they never checked any coins from that time period connected to me, the News of the World article, or Mazher Mahmood. Forgery and Counterfeiting Act 1981 has a section that says it is an offence for a person to have in his custody or under his control, without lawful authority or excuse, an instrument to which this section applies, which is, and which he knows or believes to be false. In other words, you should not have fake or coins you think may be fake in your possession. And yet Mazher Mahmood did not hand the alleged fake coins that were mentioned in the article, coins which were obtained from a source that his associates told me where to get them, and they gave me the money up front to be able to get them as well. Remember that. Well, here's the thing, he never gave them to the police until a full week after the article appeared. There is no proof of the chain of evidence, no proof of them being the same coins even. And in any event, the article had appeared, so there was no journalistic argument that he was keeping hold of them until the article appeared, because in truth that's the only argument he could have had for keeping them from the Thursday when I picked them up from the place they told me to using the money they gave me up front, until the Sunday when the article appeared. His only legal argument for keeping them those few days would be that he was waiting until the article appeared. However, he kept them another 7 days after that, so about 10 days in total, and that's just, it's not legally acceptable. And yet a complete blind eye was turned to his unquestionable illegal activity. The police need to re-examine exactly what he did, not just to me, but to other people.